Welcome home. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. We are Baltimore positive. It is Pittsburgh week around here. No crab cake tours this week. I can't afford that. Next week, we're going to have three. We're going to do five before Christmas. It's all brought to you by the Maryland Lottery. I'll have Raven scratch-offs to give away. Also, our friends at GBMC. This guy will be very happy to know that I've had my old man colonoscopy at GBMC 2 weeks ago, and they found precancerous polyps. So I would like to say the folks at GBMC may have saved my life 2 weeks ago, and I know that that makes Marvin Lewis happy because you've been calling me an old guy for a long time, ever since I was a young guy, Marv. But Pittsburgh week, and I know you're bored and you're just golfing, at this point. So I figured I would call you up and say, let's talk some football. How you been,
Yeah.
Marv?
I'm good, but Lester, see, I get this. I don't know why everybody thinks I play golf. I played 9 holes of golf in the last 2 months. So, you know what I mean? But
The
I'm
last time I
domesticated.
said I'm coming to your part of the world, you're like, I'm at a golf tournament in Salt Lake City or Park. So like
No,
you do the celebrity
I
golf
was in
thing, right?
Nebraska.
Oh,
No, I was
geez.
at a golf outing in Nebraska. Yeah, we went to a private club in Nebraska, and then I think I was in oh no, I was in maybe Hilton Head. I was at a golf
So
tournament
if
in
you're not
Hilton Head.
golfing, what are you doing then? Other than calling radio, I heard you on the radio 2 weeks ago calling a game. So you were on in Baltimore. I heard your voice, but what are you doing? What's
I'm
fun for you? You worked
domesticated.
your ass off for 50 years coaching
I'm
football.
domesticated. I do the groceries, I do laundry, I do service people, I do the car wash, I get my wife's lunch every day. I fix her dinner when she comes home. I'm domesticated. It's what
That's
I do.
nice. Isn't that nice?
It is nice.
It is nice,
I,
but
I
it's
found a
Pittsburgh
whole
week here.
I found a whole part of the world I didn't even know existed. My wife says I'm out of my bubble.
What
So
could you tell me? Like, get off of football for a minute. Just you lived in Pittsburgh, you grew up in Pittsburgh, you coached in Pittsburgh, you coached in a Super Bowl in Pittsburgh, you came to Baltimore. You're the only guy that got paid by every team in the AFC North, I guess. You hung around long enough at Cincinnati. But what comparing these cities and Pittsburgh and Baltimore, you're a guy that lived in both, passionately wore both of the shields. Other than Rod Woodson or a handful of other guys like you, there aren't a whole lot of guys that could have an honest to God comparison about it. What makes Pittsburgh and Baltimore special in your mind?
well, I think both kind of had the blue collar workers. You know, I mean, Pittsburgh obviously and Baltimore both, um, a lot of hard working people, and they love their physical football. And but I got to give Baltimore the edge because of what you mentioned earlier, the crabs.
I already
You,
told Marcella you're going to be ordering for the holidays at Coco's. You're a Coco's
oh,
fan. I respect that.
I just sent one of my friends in McDonald, where I grew up at, crabs 2 weeks ago, crab cakes from Coco's. So yeah, I got
I
to
feel
get
like a
on.
chump for not wearing my. I'm wearing my Coppin shirt today. I should have worn my
Oh,
my Coco shirt
you
for you.
should
How
have
much
worn
you
the
love it.
Coco's shirt. I'm like one of their frequent flyers at Coco's, and it's because of Dave Petramala from when he was at Johns Hopkins, who turned me on to them, who graciously sent me crab cakes from Coco's.
Did you ever hold a lacrosse stick in your life?
Oh yeah. I mean, when we moved to Baltimore, the funniest thing is we went to a neighbor's barbecue in Baltimore and I had no freaking idea what is that ball. And when you pick it up, I couldn't believe how hard it was. And literally
That'll leave a mark. Yeah.
yeah, our neighbor was one of the people featured in the book 10 Bears. He was the white guy on the lacrosse team at Morgan State.
Oh, okay.
And
But lacrosse didn't
and
come to you at all in Pittsburgh. Not
no,
at
no,
all,
not until
right?
we came to Baltimore. Not till we came to, Finksburg, Owings Mills, Westminster, Reisterstown. Then we learned about lacrosse, and I was so fortunate enough to get an opportunity to go to Johns Hopkins and meet Coach Petramala, and then become really, really good friends with Dave, and fly back and go to games if they came here to Ohio State when Ohio State took up lacrosse. And it was just and what a great sport. My 9-year-old grandson's in Charlotte now. He's playing lacrosse, and it's what a great sport.
Marvin Lewis is our guest. It's Pittsburgh week. I just love you. I miss you. I feel like you're bored enough to come and do my show. And if at this point, why wouldn't I be 30 minutes late on a Zoom, making an appointment with you and having you still love me through all
I
this?
know. I had to drink a little bit more out of my Yeti,
You,
because I figured it was 6 o'clock in Baltimore, so I was good to go, even
well,
though
look,
it was 4 o'clock here.
I got AI now, right? And in the old days, back when you used to do my show and we were pals and you coached here and you would sometimes come over to the radio station and do the show. Sometimes you call in, and that goes for Rex Ryan, Mike Pettin, Mike Nolan, all the guys of your era and the Billick era. We're all sort of in on it and a part of it in the community, and it's probably why we loved it so much through all of this. If I had an AI assistant telling me these are the things you need to ask Marvin Lewis about right now, if I was doing my national show, now I would be looking for hot takes, right? Tell me how you feel about the Lane Kiffin thing in college sports and college coaching. It's something that I know you got involved in later in your career after you left Cincinnati. But there were times when Cincinnati, you might have coached Notre Dame at one point. You might have coached big time college football at one point. This, as I recognize it or don't recognize it over the last 5 years, and you had your toes in it with Herm as it was changing, like literally, explain it to me better than maybe I've had it explained to me, just how much it's changed and what it's doing to the framework of the sport when a team that's on the hook to win a national championship loses its coach to its rival on Thanksgiving week. It's just all the optics stink, Marv. And I love football and you love football.
Yeah, I don't. There's no way to sugarcoat it, and obviously Lane made a decision financially for his family, or the future of his family, the family down the line,
But
and
doesn't
and
it
it's
come down to where
unfair.
you want to be and where you feel like you can win and where it's a good
Well, that
situation
and
for you?
that's why he made the decision he made. He feels like he has a better shot at winning a national championship or being a perennial playoff team at LSU, compete with the Alabamas, the Georgias of that SEC, now Tennessee, at a LSU as opposed to an Ole Miss. And again, that comes from the financial backing. Look what the guy at Texas Tech did this year. He said, I'm tired of being second fiddle. We're going to go buy us a football team. And he invested a lot of money. They went out and spent a lot of money in NIL, and they got a lot of new players. And unfortunately, that's the state of where college athletics is. And it's not very good. It's not good for the kids because life's not that way. And that's just not the way it works. And it's unfortunate for these Ole Miss players to have to go into the playoffs. I don't know the man that they promoted, the defensive coordinator, the head coach, but hopefully that staff will rally, the kids will rally, and they'll go win some games and have an opportunity to get in the playoffs and go forward. So, but yeah, I mean, I think it was crazy for people to sit there and think that the AD was going to allow Lane to coach the Ole Miss football team and then go be recruiting for LSU because also the timing of the signing dates and when the portal opens up in a month, it's all out of whack.
Did you sit with Herm and Ray and all the guys at Arizona State back in the beginning of this and see whatever the unintended consequences would be, that old guys like you wouldn't just be ball coaches anymore, that there was a whole different level? And it's not like all the years you were in the NFL, 30 years in the NFL, it's not like you're out of college sports. I mean, my God, I see you at the combine, like you're as into college football being the head coach at the Cincinnati Bengals or the defensive coordinator of the Ravens as you would be being involved, because they are the pipeline. They're when they show up in April, they're college kids every year when you get them. So you're not far removed from it. But then you made the move into college sports. And to see that all of these smart people wouldn't see the unintended consequences and where, when there were no guardrails, how this could be really more poisonous than money in a bag used to be back in the day with boosters.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I don't think anybody looked at, how it was going to affect down the line, how it was going to affect the building of a team, and there's always been an issue, and this is where the players were, and why they pushed forward is the coaches were jumping ship. And again, that comes down to the presidents of the universities. If you sign a contract, you're a coach. And so they should hold them to the contract. They shouldn't allow the buyouts and all those things. And again, it's different. That's why, the fact that college football has never come to a unified contractual, whatever you want to say it, thing to keep coaches in their spot like the NFL has. You
Well,
know,
Ohio State's fighting with Michigan, and all the Big Ten teams are fighting with each other, and then they're fighting with the Pac-10, and then they're fighting with the SEC. So it never was in any way. It was
no,
us
but
and them always, right?
there was an opportunity for them to fix that. To say, look, if the presidents to say, look, if we're going to pay our football coach X amount more than we're paying the head of the medical school, then he's got to stay to task. He's got to be our football coach for the contract until we make a decision that he's not. He just can't jump ship every year. And unfortunately, that's where we are with college athletics. And then they allowed the players to jump ship where they have the free transfer. And they've kind of reined it in a little bit. But most of these kids, when they go into the transfer portal, if 5,000 go in, only maybe 1/5 get an opportunity or less than that to go at the same level they're at or up, or where the others are disappointed. And that's the problem with it. And but it is what it is, and as they say, the nose is out of the camels is out of the tent.
Well,
And
coming out of Pittsburgh as a kid, you were a good football player. You went out west. You played for to get a degree, to be a coach, to go on your pathway as an athlete or a student athlete, which is really what you were. And then next thing you know, this later in life, you're at Arizona State, and it started with we're going to recruit and do it the way we've done it all. And then by the time your period of time was there, it's how much you're going to pay me, and
yeah.
how quickly all that changed. And I mean, I remember when I saw Mike Locksley, Maryland had done a deal with the Ravens for preseason football about 3 years ago, whenever it started. And Locksley, who I know well and is swabbed for the bone marrow registry, I knew him the first time before he went to Alabama back and whatever. And however you feel about Maryland or Under Armour or Kevin Plank or Steve Bisciotti or Money or College Park or being Washington school, not Baltimore school, they're advertising in the Ravens preseason games. So, there's nobody at the games, but the kids got their Terps jerseys on. He's got 4 kids, and he's got his Maryland gear on, and it's the first year where we're going to pay kids, NIL, right? And Marvin, I swear to God, they cut down onto the field, and it was probably I don't even know who the sideline reporter was, but whoever it was, cuts to them, and it reminded me of Classy Freddie Blassie or the Grand Wizard or Lou Albano. Like Mike was tapping these kids. I got the best you recruits here. We're paying these kids top money. And I'm like, oh my God. It was like you couldn't believe that a coach is saying this, but that's where the sport is, and it's happened in the blink of an eye. And I think it's changed a lot of things about the younger version of Marvin, the 45 or 50-year-old version of you, who would be the Lane Kiffin version of like, I'm in it now. What do I do? Because it's changed in this generation. Like Jed Fish is a friend of mine and from the era, and Coach O'Brien, and I see he's in it at that point. And I'm thinking the stories that would be told about this era and no guardrails. And then I would say to you, all right, the Lane Kiffin thing's wrong, the Mississippi thing, whatever. What are they going to do about it? Like, who's going to come in and play God? That's the part that I'm very confused about. And I think when this thing began a few years ago, the unintended consequences are right up there with AI and the internet.
Yeah, no, they are. It's huge, and it affects the kids. It affects fans. It affects the programs because the fans, it's a new team every year, and so the fans really can't. They don't feel as much loyalty, I would say, a lot of
Basketball,
times.
especially where there's only a couple of guys and you got to kind of get to know them a little bit.
Yeah. So that's really it's a change, and it's not necessarily all positive.
Do you
I
think
mean,
anything saves it? In your mind, you think about this a lot more than I do. What do you see this in any way getting, I don't say
well,
normalized, going back the way it was. It's not, but getting more stabilized, not normalized.
They thought that the revenue sharing thing that they put in place would help level it out some, but I guess there's ways around that. And I'm just, the time I spent with Coach Edwards and Coach Dillingham there at ASU, they got it going, with Kenny in Kenny's first year in 23, and then obviously last year in 24, and then winning the Big 12 championship. It kind of kicked off this year, but not like most of the programs. And so, but for some of the kids, it's good. Some of the things you never think about, like the parking pass for campus, things like that. Now all those things are being taken care of,
Well, and
within the,
meals.
yeah, well, meals have already been kind of part of it, but yet, now there's just some other things that
But
are
if you're out and
basic.
somebody buys you a steak because you're out at the restaurant, that's not
Well, you
breaking the
still
rules
have to be
anymore.
careful with that. You still have to apply for those things, which is
Really?
amazing. Oh, yeah. If a coach goes out and say, I want to take my
If I see
position
the
group
Towson
out,
State basketball team out
well,
tonight
you could
somewhere,
do it. You could probably
I
do it,
could
but
buy
if
him a
the
pizza if I
the
wanted to.
coach can't do it.
The coach
The
can't do it.
coach has to apply, hey, I'm taking my group out for a dinner tonight. And
Understood.
he's got to let compliance know. And if and that's one of the things that in order to build a esprit de corps and the camaraderie of the team, the position coaches do with that. But yeah, there's a lot of difference now in how it used to be. It's
Is
like
there
the
a
NFL.
compliance department in the Cincinnati Bengals
Oh,
or the Pittsburgh Steelers when you work for Cower? I just
no.
compliance. It sounds like, yeah, you have worked at a university. I'm sure they're lawyers too.
Oh yeah. But it's funny because it's just totally different. And you know, it is what it is. And it's not going backwards. It's great for some of the families because it's life changing. As long as the kids are counseled right on putting the money away to give them a jump start in life.
Marvin
So
Lewis is here.
that's a
He's
good
given
thing.
me a jump start in my radio career back in 1995, 96 when he came in here in a whirlwind 30 years later. He's still doing my freaking radio show. We're trying to have some fun. So it's
You got
Pittsburgh week, and tell me what you've been doing. You've been calling radio around the country. You've been going to football games and sitting up in the booth like a media guy like me, and because
it's a
you're
different
enjoying it.
perspective. It gives
Well,
me a different perspective.
it is a different perspective, especially when the game's going on in
I
real
see a lot
time.
of bad football, Nestor.
Have you done bad games?
Well, I've seen a lot of bad football, not necessarily bad games, but bad technique, bad coaching. But it all comes down to the things we were talking about with college athletics. They don't get enough time, for to say that we're gonna have a 20-hour week in college football with three of it being the game, and yet we're paying the guys. That's ludicrous. That's
Right.
that's ludicrous. Nobody talks about, you mentioned student athletes. Nobody talks about that anymore, but it is what it
But how
is.
many hours you can coach your kid, that's compliance.
That's compliance. And yes, there was compliance right there at ASU all the time. And she sat in the football building, and you know, there was, everybody always teased because they thought originally they were just there to keep an eye on me, so I didn't coach the players when I wasn't one of the on-field coaches.
Oh, okay. So I mean, there's all sorts of strains of all of this. And then there's the NFL, and you're watching these games every week. The league is so unpredictable. And I always say, when I have John Martin on, I talk about the lottery and sports wagering and all that. I said Marvin back in 1996 had a red pointer, and Schwartzy was over in the corner eating some peanut butter and jelly sandwich or whatever, and you had your little red pointer. And I'll never forget you looking at me and saying, I don't know how people bet on this because I don't know what's going to happen, and I coach it and I'm here every day and I have no idea. But the league this year, for where the Ravens thought they were, where the Chiefs believed they were, where the Bills wanted to be, even the Eagles, on the back end of what they did last year, it's week to week. And this week, Cincinnati smells good and Buffalo smells good and Pittsburgh and Baltimore don't or whatever. But there really is no super team here. And I don't know if we're buying into Bo Nix, buying into Drake May, buying into Daniel Jones or Trevor Lawrence, but it's going to be a whole new kind of tournament this year because there's no favorite anywhere in the tournament. And it's been a long time since we haven't felt that a powerhouse or at least an elite team or three at the top. It feels like a mad scramble, Marv.
Yeah, there's no question about it. But you mentioned like when I started in the NFL, there was no casinos, there was no gambling. If like somebody asked you if you wanted to go to a charity golf tournament at a casino, I think you had to sign away your firstborn. And once the owners figured out they could make money by letting all these betting apps in and all this stuff in, boom, it was Katie bar the door. And that's what happened. So, but you're 100% right. Right now, the NFL, because of the salary cap, there's always been a degree of parity. And then you have these teams who fall into a quarterback, draft a quarterback, and the guy emerges. And that puts them a cut above everybody else until everybody else scrambles to catch up, however you do it. Our way was to try to put the quarterback on his back, but he can't do that as much anymore. They put me in jail now the way our guys used to play in Baltimore. I would go to jail.
Every time I hear the DMX song, I think of you and Tony Saragusa and Peter Boulware. I do. You know,
They would put us in jail. I mean,
y'all
even
gonna
when
make
I
me
st
lose my mind up
yeah,
in here,
up in
up in
here.
here,
That's right. And it's just different, the way the game is played, it's officiated differently, but again, the essence of football is still it. You got a big game this week in Baltimore, two teams pissed off. I mean,
Embarrassed over their
I
turkey.
mean, embarrassed.
The
And
Bengals sat in our field and ate turkey while 60,000 Ravens fans left and
well, they were
2,000
already
Bengals
gone.
fans.
They were already gone. They left early. They left early. And it's so funny. I have done the two Bengal games on the Sunday before the Thursday games. And it's been amazing how on a short week they've looked like a different football team. You
Oh,
know,
I
I
mean,
did their game in Green Bay with Joe's first game, and then they come back and beat Pittsburgh. And then I did their game in Cincinnati a week ago when they lost to the Patriots. And then they come back and beat the Ravens on Thursday
be
night.
honest,
So,
there's this much you would still love to be coaching the Bengals with Joe Burrow as your quarterback, right? Like
oh,
having Joe Burrow
who
back.
wouldn't love to coach Joe Burrow? There's a long line to coach Joe Burrow.
Well, so I got into it this week with Luke early in the week about where we are with quarterbacks and Lamar right now, who doesn't look right. He doesn't look healthy. And then he's not throwing the ball well. He doesn't have the acceleration, doesn't have the want to run through the middle of the field and put the cape on. The 1-5 start, the injury, all that's gone wrong for the Ravens, including everything that went wrong on Thursday night against the Bengals. And I've looked at all of the quarterbacks in the league where Mahomes is and his supporting cast, where Josh Allen is and his supporting cast. Burrow, obviously, protection's always been the issue for him. I see Orlando Brown's kid still trying to protect him. And I think to myself, I would take Burrow over all of them. I mean, if I could just take a player right now for the next 5 years, injuries aside and the injury history and all that, I love the way Joe Burrow plays, and I fear them the next couple of weeks that they can win a couple of games here and make this thing a lot more interesting than anybody believes they can.
Yeah, well, they settled down, they've simplified, they're playing better on defense over the last 3, 4 weeks since the Chicago game. They've gotten better. But Lamar put the team on his back last year and willed them into the playoffs. So, that's what you're looking for again. He's missed some games. He comes back. Yes, his timing didn't look great in the passing game a week ago on Thursday night.
Well, they're not
But
practicing either. He's not practicing on Wednesday. He hasn't practiced a lot in the last 2 months. And I think that
that's
shows up on game day,
that it
right?
does. Yeah, no question about it. In my opinion, it shows up. And, even like when you get a guy, like I was so fortunate to have an Andrew Whitworth who, at times I had to rest him on a Wednesday, but we got to December, Big Whit said, I'm practicing on Wednesday because he knew what it was about then. And I think that's the thing that uh, you know I wouldn't bet against Lamar at any point. I've seen these guys all too long. Just like I saw like you mentioned Bo Nix earlier. Just like I saw him and Jaden Daniels and Penix and Cam Ward. And Caleb Williams. So I've seen all of these guys at their college before their college as they played in the Pac-12. And there's something special about these young men. But Lamar has special ability. He put that team on his back last year, and he made some amazing plays, runs, throws, and did it. And but it's a big time football game. The press conference by Aaron Rodgers and TJ Watt, those were some of the best press conferences I've ever heard from NFL players
Why?
because they put the onus on themselves. They didn't take blame and say this guy we got to do that guy's got to do that better or that guy. I have to do better. We aren't playing collectively enough. We are not playing kick-ass defense. I'm not going there. I came here for a reason. I believe in what we do. I believe in our coaches, and we have to figure it out and get better together. And so there's going to be a sense of urgency, a tighten of the resolve, and I'm sure it's from both teams. I haven't listened to the players from the Ravens and their comments after their game, but I'm sure John is going to set his jaw and they're going to get ready to go. Like I said, I just did the Chargers game last week after they got annihilated in Jacksonville, and they would look like a different football team yesterday in SoFi Stadium. So, I mean, and that's part of professional athletes. You don't get to rub their nose in it very long, and they're going to rise up and come back and bite you back.
It's Pittsburgh week. Marvin Lewis is my guest. I love him. You love him. He's here. He's bored. He's doing sports radio with me, just like we always planned it back in the day. So for me, with the Aaron Rodgers thing and where Pittsburgh is, and I feel a little uncomfortable even talking to you about firing coaches and pissed off fans and empty stadium. But I'll say this on both of the sides, right? I mean, you lasted a long time in Cincinnati. I looked it up. Is it 16, 17, 18 years? How many years was it? Then I look at Tomlin, I look at Harbaugh in a business where it's not for long. You taught me that a long time ago. And you also taught me early on, you're like, no, 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 no. Don't focus on that bullshit that's going on with fans and this and that. Focus on what's going on in our building, in our meetings, what we're doing, because that's what's real. What's real is what's going to happen out on the field when not all the conjecture and he said and press conferences and all that. So the reality is both of these coaches have been forever and have hung around forever. The reality is one of them at the very least isn't making the playoffs. There's very little doubt about that winning the division is going to be the only ticket in, and the Bengals are going to have some say in that, and they're going to play. Watching Tomlin get the fire Tomlin thing in his stadium after all these years, and watching the fans boo Renegade in Pittsburgh. Now, on my side in Baltimore, and I've told you for years back when you were the coach here and you saw seats started to empty out, the Ravens have had three massive exodus late third quarter, fourth quarter, like a preseason game. Like nobody in the stadium. Bisciotti has witnessed this now three times this year, including on Thanksgiving night where the Bengals ate turkey. If the Ravens don't make the playoffs this year, I can't, I don't know how that's going to go, given what the perception of Lamar is. Now, the Steelers, I feel a little different with Aaron Rodgers and where they are because it feels to me like the Steelers don't have a plan. It's Aaron Rodgers is sort of it feels like the last stop on the bus to some degree when you're bringing Aaron Rodgers in and the blood on the nose and all of that stuff. The Ravens are in a different spot in the sweet spot of Lamar's career. This is really tectonic plate shifting, and this is only the first matchup. And I know you want to get onto the scheduling thing because they play again 5 weeks from now again, and that's going to really settle the division between here and there. So this is the first of two. And for both of these franchises that you love and I love, it's really a strange, strange time and high stakes given the disappointment of the fans and the pressure on the franchises when the stadiums are empty and out and they're booing Renegade in Pittsburgh.
No, there's no question about that. There's nobody in those two cities ever thought it would get to this in this football season. But Mike and both John, and they've done a tremendous job at their jobs. And I had to coach against them, and I know how they have done, and they've kept the lid on things in their buildings, and they've
But
done a
you
good
hear it.
job.
You hear it when you're
Well,
when you're on the
yeah, you
field.
you
You
know
hear it.
now. I mean,
Like
that's
you would say,
obviously.
take all that out. That's hard to take out, I
Well,
think.
it is. It's hard to take out when it happens in your home stadium and that way. But we all come to an end. Brian Billick told me that a long time ago.
His aim came quicker than yours.
It did, but maybe mine should have come a little quicker. Looking back on it, I should have maybe stepped away, and then that record would look way better.
Yeah, but you love it. You love it so much you went
No,
back
I
to
do.
Vegas
You
last
you
year.
stay with it just because of the people that your coaches, because of them, their families, and everything. You don't want to put everybody through an uprooting and that whole thing. You don't want to do that, and that's the biggest part of it. Is that there's a lot of people in that building are counting on you to do your job at the very, very best that you can do it, and put W's up there. So. And that goes not only in the coaching level, but every other level of that building, from sponsorship to sales, all those things. You
Morale,
know,
right?
yeah. Oh,
Morale.
yeah. It's totally. It's not like college athletics where the women's volleyball team just won the national championship and the football team sucks. I mean, when you don't win in the NFL, the whole building is down. And that's the difference. We're all, everything and how we feel happens on Sunday, and we feel better on Monday when we get that W, you know, and that goes for everybody in the building.
When I think everything the Brown family was chasing with you in Cincinnati and giving you more chances and you won more division. I mean, you should be really proud of what you did. I'm proud of you. And I look and I see what happened in January, but I see what happened over 16 years and I see wins and losses. And I feel that way for Tomlin and for Harbaugh as well, who, I mean, they haven't won a whole lot of playoff games in recent years either, and they've hung in, but it's a tribute to what kind of organization you want to have
Yeah, well, it's
in
just the
Pittsburgh, where they've had three coaches in our lifetime, in Baltimore, where they've had three coaches in the history of the team in 30 years, and even in Cincinnati, where they chase that by not firing their current coach when things go wrong after he went to
yeah.
a Super Bowl. Like having some patience. I mean, even like what Sean Payton's managed to do in Denver and what Vrabel's doing a second time up in New England, you always told me you got smarter.
Oh yeah, you get smarter, and I do think the stability of ownership, and I think the fact that you mentioned, both with Steve, with Art Rooney, with Mike Brown, they're in it with you. And it's not like, oh, wait a second. I mean, they're right beside you, and they feel it every single day. And I'm not was never as close to Steve like I was watching, the Rooneys operate, and Art now, who's running the team now, and obviously, Mike Brown, who I just spent an hour and a half with a week ago. And because when you spend every day for 16 years talking to somebody, your family, and that's different that way. And my job was to help get that football team to win, plain and simple. And I understood that from the time. And when I took the job, my thing was, you called me. I didn't call you. You called me. So let's go. And I think that makes a difference.
It's
But
hard to win too, right? It just
no, it's
is.
hard to win. It's hard to win, and it's even harder to sustain it. Because everybody that's in that, these players think, oh, shoot, it was all about me. No, no, no. It's like these DBs. I watch these cornerbacks where they're beat by 3 yards and the receiver drops the ball or the ball's not there. And they got to go through their celebration that I shut that guy on lockdown. So, dude, you just should be embarrassed. Hopefully, they don't come look at you again. What are you doing? You are so lucky that the ball was overthrown and but your butt was torched.
It is
I mean,
amazing the modern era how
yeah.
every
Oh,
play
it's
is a WWE
crazy.
celebration.
I would like choking dudes out, man. Choking. If Dwayne Starks or Chris McAllister, I would choke both of them out. Are you kidding me? Dude, your job is to cover. That's what you paid to do. And hope they don't see your sorry tail and throw it your way. Then do a
Celebrate at
good
the end of the
job.
game.
celebrate. We all celebrate together, and that's the deal. You
The
know.
game's changed. We're too old for this, Marv. You and I
Oh,
should
it
go
is. It's just
golfing or something, you
I,
know?
I was just. I mean, come on, man.
Come
You are.
on, man. Marvin Lewis, I love you. Thanks for joining me. I throw myself on the mercy of our friendship that I was late and blew you off. So I owe you Cowboy Chow mushroom surprise at the
I'm coming
Arizona
to
airport.
Baltimore, bruh, on Friday. So,
What?
yeah, it's the anniversary of the Super Bowl team.
What? You're in
Yeah.
Baltimore this weekend?
Yes.
Guess where I am? I'm in Baltimore this weekend.
All right.
All right, we're getting crab
Well,
cakes. That's it, man.
how about real crabs? Can we get real
I'll
crab?
take you down to Costas Friday night. Let's go.
All right. Well,
I'll
that
get the big ones.
Friday night I've got to deal with the Liberatores. So maybe a
Oh, okay.
lunch.
All right. Well, then that
Maybe a
means you'll have good
lunch.
meatballs.
Yes,
Well,
maybe a
tell
lunch.
hey, Dante's a Dundalk guy, so if you're setting me aside for a different Dundalk guy, I can live with that. That's all.
I love that. He
What?
is so Dundalk. He doesn't think he's Dundalk. He thinks he's European.
It's Eldersburg for crying out loud. My God, Dante. All right, Marvin, I love you. Marvin Lewis is here. So you're in town this weekend.
In town this weekend.
That's breaking news. They took me off the press release. I don't
News
get the press
breaking.
releases, Marv.
It's called news breaking. That's how Peggy's friends call it. News breaking.
News breaking. Okay. Well, news breaking is that
It's
I'm
like,
going to get together and break bread with you this
all
weekend.
right.
You just made my week. Marvin
Look
Lewis is
forward to
here.
it.
We're doing the Maryland Crab Cake Tour. We'll have some crab cakes left. It starts at Fadley's next Wednesday. We're going to be, you talk about the Liberators, we're going to be at the Di Pasquale's, talking about the Feast of the Seven Fishes on Thursday down in Canton. Then on Friday, we're going to be at Honey's in Halthorpe. I'm going to have some Asian food next Friday, so it's going to be delicious. And then we're going to be at Costas and Dundalk, aforementioned on the 18th, Pacina Shock, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. And the 19th, we're going upscale. We're going to Gertrude's at the BMA with Dan Rodrigues and my cousin John Shields. We're also going to talk Seven Fishes that day as well. I am Nestor. My love and affection for Marvin Lewis never ends. That was a great segment of football conversation. It's Pittsburgh week. Stay tuned. We got more for you.